Hello, everyone. Thank you all very much for coming. Just before we get going, can we make sure everyone in the middle is pushed in, and maybe some of you guys want to move over even to this corner of the room. Maybe you want to sit on the steps over here, even so you're not all crowded in the corner. But well, I see you have all moved in. Yeah, there's one or two seats even over here. But yeah, my name. Sorry, so everyone, you're all very welcome. My name is Andrew, and I'm the Scholar Secretary this year. So for the info night, we're going to break it down into two sections. In the first section, I'm just going to give you a general overview about Schols as a presentation. Then afterwards, we're going to split up into your individual subjects, and you're going to have a chance to ask questions to students who have already passed the Schols exams in your subject area. And to do that, we're going to split throughout the Ed Burke Lecture Theatre and the Sing Lecture Theatre for the Q&A session. Hey, I'm going to come back to this slide at the end, so you don't need to frantically take pictures of it. And just so that everyone, can we settle down, please? Just so everyone can see the arts, humanity, and social science subjects. Most of you are going to go over to the Sing Lecture Theatre to ask questions to scholars in your subjects, while most of the STEM and health science students are going to remain here. And if you'll see that not all subjects are listed in the right-hand column, but I will be, if you come to the front of the lecture theatre and speak to me during the Q&A session, I'll hopefully be able to put you in contact with someone who got Schols in your subject field, where at all possible. There are a small number of subjects that there aren't volunteers for, so I will do my best to put you in contact with a scholar where at all possible. Okay, so I'm going to just go through the general presentation first. So, as some of you may be aware, Schols is a very enduring feature of Trinity College, and it has been around since the inception of the university in 1592. The university was founded initially with only 3 scholars, and for the first period of time, the number of scholars in the university fluctuated quite a lot. But in 1637, the Trinity Charter was rewritten under King Charles, and the number of scholars was capped at 70. And these 70 scholars are referred to as the foundation scholars. And initially, these positions were limited to only male Protestants, but they then added non-foundation scholarships, and these were for women, Catholics, and any students who were studying subjects outside of theology, classics, and philosophy. Thankfully, the university doesn't segregate students on this basis anymore, but we still use the terms foundation scholars and non-foundation scholars are still used, but the privileges both non-foundation scholars and foundation scholars get are almost the exact same, except that foundation scholars get to vote alongside fellows when there are certain changes to the Trinity Charter, but that is exceedingly rare, so I wouldn't get worried about it. So basically, the difference between the two is negligible. And the students that are picked as foundation scholars, they're the ones who get the highest grades in the Schols exams every year. And the number of foundation scholars is still capped at 70. But if you reach the exam criteria to get Schols, you will either become a non-foundation scholar or a foundation scholar, and you'll get all of the same privileges. So I hope that is clear. Okay, so it's important to note that an awful lot of former alumni at Trinity were scholars back in their day. This includes the Nobel laureates, Samuel Beckett and Ernest Walton, and the playwrights Oscar Wilde and Synge, and then Mary Robinson and Jack Gleeson from Game of Thrones, Sally Rooney and Lenny Abrahamson, and then Adrian Hill, who some of you may know was one of the lead researchers on the Oxford team that developed the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. And then also we have Philip Lane, who is currently the chief economist in the European Central Bank. And as well as this, you might see names on campus such as Burke, Singh, Usher, and many past provosts, all of whom were scholars in their time. So studying for the Schols exams comes with a number of benefits, and you'll be able to avail of these benefits regardless of whether you get the Schols exams or not. These include, this is because when you are studying for the Schols exams, they really incentivize you to think very critically and engage with your subject. This is something most undergrads develop over their studies at Trinity, but by taking the Schols exams and studying for them, students find that they start developing these skills on average a lot earlier than students who choose not to study for the Schols exams. The studying for the Schols exams also give you an opportunity to find areas within your subject that you're particularly passionate and interested about. And that can be a huge benefit to you when you start thinking about doing a capstone research project in your senior sophomore year. But there is one, the studying for the Schols exam is a pretty big commitment, and it comes with a lot of it requires a lot of sacrifice and dedication. So that kind of brings a lot of personal satisfaction and a chance for growth during your time at Trinity. And finally, I'd also like to point out that a lot of students who study for the Schols exams, they find it's of a huge benefit to them in just their normal Hillary and Michaelmas term exams, of course. So that's yet another reason to study for them. But if you do succeed in getting Schols, it comes with a number of benefits. Firstly, Schols will cover your university fees if you're an Irish or an EU student, while if you're an international student, you will have your course fees reduced by the same amount. I will qualify that Schols does not cover the SU fees or the Sports Centre fees. You will also be entitled to free accommodation for 5 years during your studies at Trinity. This will be over the 9 months of the academic term, and during your junior sophomore year, scholars are housed in Trinity halls, while in the later years, the remaining 4, you get accommodation on campus. And they normally like to move you from one place to the other each year, so you get a chance to try out the accommodation in lots of different parts of the campus, which is kind of nice. So you might be moved to you might get to see the accommodation in Front Square for a year, and then New Square and Goldsmith Hall, etc. I will also say that you are entitled to 1 summer of accommodation as well. And students have a chance to use that when they're maybe doing a research project over the summer, or maybe their studies continue for the summer months. So that can be a huge benefit to them as well. And you can choose to avail of cash in lieu of accommodation if you so please. And I will just say that scholars do cover their own utility costs. Another great benefit is Commons. So Commons is a 3-course meal that is available daily during the working week. And it takes place at 6:15 p.m. in the main dining hall. And that's normally attended by about 100 scholars or so. And it's a great opportunity to get to meet and chat with your peers. And it saves an awful lot of time and money for cooking. And other benefits, the remaining other benefits are you get a €250 cash every year. You also get a vote in the Seanad alongside all graduates of the university. And finally, you get to use the post-nominal title SCH after your name. But I really hope that isn't the reason any of you are studying for the Schols exams. And so, yeah, as I said earlier, you have Schols for 5 years. So that means most people will end up using it for their junior sophomore and senior sophomore years. And then they will also get to use it for 3 years of postgraduate study. So I'd like to emphasize at this time that there are no other secret privileges. There's no sheep grazing. There's no sword wielding. You don't get to demand bread, ale, wine, or port at the exams. So please don't embarrass yourselves. And most disappointingly, it doesn't, unfortunately, give you unfettered access to the college wine cellars. Yeah, so that's, yeah, so the privileges I just listed, they are it. And I think they're a pretty great set as is. So just keep moving on. Okay, so there's 3 years of postgraduate study. So this really makes doing postgraduate study a lot more financially feasible for students at Trinity. So a lot of students will stay on and do a PhD like myself, or students might use it to cover quite an expensive master's course, such as an MBA. And other students will use it to cover their integrated master's course, such as in medicine or pharmacy or engineering. And yeah, so as well as that, some students choose not to use their postgraduate study years, and they choose to kind of, on the back of their great success in the Schols exams, they go on to do postgraduate study in other universities, is in Oxbridge and the Ivy Leagues and others. And for example, I know two of my close friends who got Schols. One of them is currently over doing a PhD in Cambridge, and another is in Princeton. Okay, so they are all the privileges, but unfortunately, there are a set of exams you do have to take. So these will be 3 or 4 exams, depending on your course or on your pathway within your course. And regardless of what subjects you take for the Schols exams, you will have to sit a general section, which will be on your subject field more broadly. And there are 3 exam criteria that you must meet in order to get Schols. Number 1 is you need to get an average of 70% or more across your 3 or 4 exams. Secondly, you need to get a first in at least 2 of those exams. And thirdly, you cannot get below 65% in any of those exams. They are the 3 criteria you need to hit. And if you do meet those criteria from the exams, you will be rewarded Schols. So, oh yeah, just another important thing, you do have to sit the exams in your senior freshman year, but you do have, if for some urgent personal or medical reason, it is possible to defer the exams. I do know one student who got quite sick during the week, but just in the week of the Schols examinations, and he applied to the senior lecturer and was able to defer the exams until the junior sophomore year. So that is possible. But for the vast majority of students, you will be taking it in your senior fresh year. So the Schols exams are quite a searching set of examinations, and examiners expect a quite significant level of critical engagement with the subject matter. So Schols, it's important to note that Schols isn't awarded based on the number of hours you study. It's not about rote learning here. It's about reflecting, integrating, critical thinking, and kind of trying to synthesize your knowledge and show a deep understanding of your subject field. So that's very important to stress. And so your performance in any previous exams is not taken into account. So it doesn't matter how you did in your first year in college. It's only about how you performed in the Schols exams. And if you hit those 3 exam criteria that I mentioned before, you will be rewarded Schols. Okay. And the number of scholars every year is not capped. So the numbers, it's not capped on the total number of scholars, and it's not capped in individual courses. There's a lot of, I've heard a lot of untruthful things said around that. So it's really important to emphasize the number of scholars within each course or overall is not capped at all. So I want to just take another look at the exam criteria and make sure everyone understands. So I'm going to go through a number of examples here. So first we're looking at student A. So student A these examples, you can see they all sat 3 exams. So with student A, they got 73% in paper 1, 66% in paper 2, and 71% in paper 3, getting an overall average of 70%. So they reached an average of at least 70%. So they reached criteria 1. They got 70% or higher in at least 2 of the papers. So they hit criteria 2. And number 3, they got over 65% in all of the exams. So that they hit criteria number 3. So student A would be awarded Schols. If we look at student B then, they got 66% in paper 1, 77% in paper 2, and 69% in paper 3, giving them an average of 70.7%. So they got an average over 70%, so they hit criteria 1. But unfortunately, they only got over 70% in one of the papers. So they did not meet criteria number 2. So student B would not be awarded Schols on that basis. Student number C got 79% in paper 1, 64% in paper 2, and 71% in paper 3, getting an overall average of 71.3%. So they got an average of over 70%, so they hit criteria 1. They got over 70% in at least 2 of the papers, so they hit criteria 2, but unfortunately they got 64% in one of the papers, so they did not reach criteria number 3. So this student would also not be awarded Schols. And finally, student D got 71% in paper A, 65% in paper 2, and 72% in paper 3, getting an overall average of 69.3%. So their overall average was below 70%, so they failed on criteria 1. So this student would not be awarded Schols. And I'm not going to go through the same, because that would be a bit much. I don't want to bore everyone. But if you're sitting 4 exams, the important thing is you need to get an average of 70% or higher. You need to get a first in at least 2 of the exam papers again. And number 3, you need to get over 65% in all of the exams. So you can see that student number 1, they got over 70% in 2 of the exams, so they hit the criteria number 1. They got a majority over 70%, so they hit criteria number 2. And they got over 65% in all 3 papers, so they hit criteria number 3. So student A would be awarded Schols, but as you can see, students B, C, and D, they each didn't hit one of the 3 criteria, so none of those 3 would be awarded Schols. Is that clear to everyone? Does anyone have any questions on that? So you have those 3 exam criteria, and if you reach those 3 exam criteria, you will be awarded Schols, and you will receive all of the privileges that we went through in the previous slides. Another thing, so after the exams, you won't hear anything about it until Trinity Monday, which is on the 22nd of April. So once you've sat the Schols exams, it's best off to just not think about it, not analyze it any further, because you're not going to be notified on whether you got Schols or not until Trinity Monday. So you're just better off clearing the head and enjoying your second term. And all scholars are announced by the provost on the steps of the exam hall at 10 a.m. on Trinity Monday. And that is the first time you'll hear if you got Schols or not. So if you sat the Schols exams, you are not required to attend the announcement, but you will probably find out soon enough whether you got it or not. You'll probably get a few messages or calls from your mates, and then there'll be a great day of celebrations. So I just wanted to now just show this chart here. So maybe the chart, you can see here that the number of scholars in the chart on the right-hand side, it fluctuates a bit from year to year, but there's no real trend. So I just put this chart in to show that there is no real cap, and there's no point in reading into these numbers too much. It's just that the number fluctuates from year to year and there is no cap involved. Okay, so now I just wanted to give a couple of recommendations about sitting the exams. So once you've signed up for Schols, you can change your mind and choose not to sit the exams at any point in time. So I'd recommend that if you're on the fence about whether you want to sit them or not, you're better off just signing up and then choosing at a later stage that you don't want to sit them. And also I'd like to emphasize that there's no record kept on your transcript of how you did in the Schols exams. So there's no pressure on you to do well, thinking that it's going to reflect badly on your transcripts or anything. I'd really recommend, it's really worthwhile just giving it a go. It doesn't cost you anything other than your own time. So it's just, and there's not going to be any record on your transcript. So there's no repercussions if they don't go your way. And yeah, so you can decide to drop out at any point. But one thing that's really important to emphasize is that if you've gotten to the stage where you've studied for the exams and you've sat the first paper or the first two papers and you feel that they haven't gone your way, at that point, I really strongly recommend that you finish out the rest of the exams. A number of students say that after sitting one or two or three exams, they feel like they want to drop out, that they haven't done well, but they're encouraged by their peers to finish them out, and they did end up getting Schols. So it's really important to emphasize, if you've gotten to the point where you've sat one of the examinations, regardless of how you feel of how they went, it's worthwhile finishing out the other exams. Yeah, and I think they give a quote here. Try not to drop out from the exams. A higher proportion of those who finish all the exams get Schols. Okay, so now I'm just going to pass over to Aidan and Nicole here, who are going to give you some tips on getting over the finish line.
Thanks, Andrew. So hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out. It's a great turnout, so it's great to see. Schols, as Andrew said, is a very difficult endeavor, and you're going to spend, if you do decide to sit them and finish the exams, you're going to spend a lot of time studying. So it can be difficult, and there are a couple of things we just want to let you know before you start, just to remember throughout the process. If things are getting tough, kind of what to do. So as usual, you're all used to sitting exams, so things like fresh air and exercise, physical activity, and just like good social connections are kind of obvious things, but it's easy to forget about them once you're kind of once the red mist descends, especially towards the later stages of Schols. I know myself, like 2 weeks before Schols, I just hit a brick wall and said, "Saw this, I'm not going to sit them." But after talking to a few of my friends and my family, they kind of said, "You put in so much work up until now, it would be a shame to waste it." So I'm sure every single one of you will feel like that at some stage. And it's important to remember how much you've done and how close you are. And you're probably way more prepared than you think you are. So don't underestimate the amount of work you've done, and keep pushing through after you talk to your friends and your family as well. Like, talk to your friends outside Schols, because they're not going to be in the bubble of it. But also talk to your friends inside Schols, because there's no quota, as Andrew said. So there's no detriment to talking to your friends and helping each other out. There's no reason to be competitive about it, because you don't lose anything by sharing what you know with your friends. And it's a great way to kind of build a working relationship with your peers and colleagues in your course as well. Yeah.
I mean, my experience was kind of similar to Aidan's. I almost dropped out of it a couple of weeks before, because I was just like, I'm too tired. I don't want to do this anymore. It's doing my head in. And I basically was just told by my housemate, who was studying for them with me, to take a couple of days off and come back into it after, which was also good advice. Sometimes you just need to take a break and take a step back. But definitely, especially if you make it all the way to like Christmas and you've been studying for them and you've been working on it, don't give up, because like there's so many people here who are with us today who are waiting for you outside to speak to you after this, who also went through that feeling of being like, there's no way I'm going to get them. And now they're here. A lot of them are doing postgrads. They're benefiting from all of these amazing things that the scholarship gives you. It's really unparalleled compared to any other school in Ireland, but also like around the world. There's so few places where you can get this kind of scholarship, so it's really worth it. And as Aidan said, don't be competitive. I worked really closely with my housemate. We had 2 exams in common, so we wrote up notes together. We really helped each other out throughout the whole thing. We would write past papers. That's also like a really important one. You have access to all past papers from previous years in scholars exams, so you can use those to really prepare for it. All the exams are also quite different, so I can't give you like general advice on how to study for this, because that's what everyone will be doing individually based on the courses. But support yourselves throughout it. Don't like beat yourself down. Don't be in a rut. Don't lock yourself up in a room. That doesn't help. You kind of need the fresh air. You need the socializing, and you need like a bit of diversity in your life to get through this, because otherwise you might just end up like getting yourself really, really down. So yeah, and also avail of all of these supports. Like, these supports are here for you generally as a student, but they definitely also help for getting through the Schols exams. So everything from SU welfare all the way through to like the college health center, but also like your peers. It's really, really important. Yeah, I'm not going to read them out to you. You can all read, hopefully. And yeah, there's loads of scholars outside. There's over 30 of us from different disciplines. Because there's so many of you, we've kind of talked that maybe the best thing is for people to come down to say what courses they are. And if you want to sit any of those exams, you can then maybe leave this hall with those people. And then whoever's left at the end, if there isn't a person here specifically, you can still come down to us and we'll try and give you as much as advice that might be tailored to you as possible.
Hold on there, wait one sec, guys. There's still just a little bit to go. Thank you very much, Aidan and Nicole. That's great. Okay, so yeah, there's a couple of other places to get information about Schols. I really recommend it's worth taking a look at the Trinity College calendar. So if you look up Trinity College academic calendar, you can see on the right-hand side, there'll be a section undergraduate studies. If you click into that, there'll be a section specifically on Trinity scholarship, foundation and non-foundation scholarship. It's a lot of this information can be found there. It's also really important is that a number of schools and departments run specific Schols information events for their subject area. So I really recommend you attend them. They'll have a lot more maybe specific information for you about your individual subjects. And as well as that, the Scholars website is a great source of information for all of you on Schols. Most importantly, on the Scholars website, there is a list of all scholars going right the way back to 1925. But most importantly, you can then use that list to try and find them and get in contact with them. I might, at the end of this presentation here, I'm going to just put up the website details. Currently, we have our own website and it's under TCD Life/Scholars. Yeah, so if you go to TCD Life/Scholars, you'll see there'll be a list of scholars and there'll be a lot of information about Schols. But it's important to note that website, unfortunately, is going to be taken down in a couple of weeks, but you're going to find the same information and it's just going to be moved to About Trinity. In one of the sections there's going to be a big section on foundation and non-foundation scholarship. So that information is all online and I will just show you where to find it currently on the current website just after the presentation here. Okay. Oh, down. There we go. Okay, so nearly done now, guys. So important dates. So if you need to apply to sit the Schols exams. The application period opens at 9 a.m. on Monday, the 2nd of October, and it closes at 5 p.m. sharp on Monday, the 16th of October. So in that email that the senior lecturer sent all of you, you see there'll be a link there to academic registry form. You need to fill that out and send it off in order to avail of the Schols, to be able to sit the scholarship exams. So that's all done online. It's also very important that you then in November confirm that you want to sit the Schols exams. So that you need to, I think you will receive an email either from academic registry or the senior lecturer again, and they'll ask, basically, are you sure you want to sit the Schols exams? You'll need to respond to that. I think there'll probably be a form again. I need to say, yes, I intend to proceed and sit the Schols exams. So it's really important you carry out both of those actions. The scholarship exams themselves will be from the 8th to the 12th of January. And that's when the bulk of the examinations will take place, although there may be 1 or 2 exams on the following week because they try and host all the Schols exams on campus. So it's sometimes due to capacity, they need to hold a couple the following week, but the vast majority of them are going to be from the 8th to the 12th of January. Then the announcement of all people who succeed in getting Schols, that will be announced on Trinity Monday, which is the 22nd of April. So that concludes the general presentation. Does anyone have any questions on the presentation overall? Yes. And sorry, yes, you can avail of all the same supports from the disability service for the Schols exams as you do the regular exams. That's a great question. And are there any other questions? Sorry, is that one? Oh, there's a couple here. Okay, maybe you in the front here. Oh, Janie, I don't know if this. I did know this. No, it's way less than 1,000, and I'm pretty sure it's. I think it's in the low. I think it's in the mid hundreds, low 400. Oh, sorry, not sure. Yeah, here. Okay, yeah, good idea, Sean. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so the question I was just asked to repeat them. The question is, would you lose the SUSI maintenance grant or any other Schols funding, any other scholarship funding? The answer is you don't lose the SUSI maintenance grant. Yeah, a good question. And are there any other questions? Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, so that there is in the scholarship exams, there are a number of other awards handed out along with the Schols exams. Some of them that they are mostly subject specific. So I think I don't know the values of them off the top. I know, for example, classics have a couple. So some of these awards are just awarded to the student who performed best in their subject, regardless of whether they got Schols or not, while others might be awarded to the best student who didn't get Schols. But that's all very subject specific. But you can find that information on the Trinity calendar. Sorry, there was another question over here. Sorry, yes, yeah. What is the question was, what is the non-foundation scholarship? So the important thing is whether you get Schols or not. Most people who get Schols end up being called non-foundation scholars, while much smaller number of them end up being called foundation scholars. Both of them are entitled to all those privileges that I mentioned earlier. The only real difference is in the really rare case where there is a change to the Trinity statutes. Foundation scholars get a vote in it and non-foundation scholars don't. But that's so rare, it really doesn't matter. They're the exact same thing for all intents and purposes. So if you reach the exam criteria, you will be awarded Schols and you'll get one of those two titles, but it really doesn't matter at all which one you get. Yes. Yeah, so the question was the awards other than Schols that you can possibly get from sitting the Schols exams. Do you have to apply for them or not? No, you don't apply for them. If you sit the Schols exams, you will automatically be put into consideration for those awards. No worries. Yeah. So the question is, if you study classics, theology, or philosophy, do you have a greater chance of being a foundation scholar? The answer is no. That was an old distinction back when there used to be only white male Protestants in the university. Nowadays, nowadays the cap is still kept that there's 70 foundation scholars. So every year, a couple of the old foundation scholars will have finished up, and their places need to be refilled with new scholars. So the students who get the highest overall grades in the scholarship exams become foundation scholars, while any other students, which is the vast majority of them, which reach the exam criteria, end up becoming non-foundation scholars. But again, I'd like to emphasize that for all intents and purposes, they are the exact same, and really, you get all the same privileges, and you shouldn't focus on that at all. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, you there? Yeah, so that there will not be any Schols exams before the 8th of January. The question was, are there any Schols exams before the 8th of January? No, there are not. the first exams will start on the 8th of January. And from the vast majority of you, they will just be done in that week from the 8th to the 12th. Yes, you near the back. So the question is, if you do your postgrad in another university, can you still avail of some of the benefits? So if you're not registered as a Trinity student, then you cannot get the benefits of Schols. So if you're doing a postgraduate study in another university, then you're not going to be able to avail of the benefits. You might be able to be allowed into Commons to get that meal, but other than that, no. Sorry. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't talk about intermitting Schols. Thanks, Nicole. So the important thing is to say once you get Schols, then you're probably going to use it for your junior sophomore and senior sophomore years. Then let's say you might want to go out and do a year experience, work experience somewhere in industry, or you might want to go do a master's in another university and then come back to Trinity. So you are able to intermit your scholarship. So you can apply to the university to intermit Schols, and that's done on a yearly basis. So you could choose, okay, I finished my undergrad, I want to intermit for a year. So you can apply, and then you can apply again the following year. You can intermit for up to 3 years, and those years do not have to be consecutive. So you could choose to intermit for 1 year, come back, do a master's, intermit another 2 years, and then come back and do another year of study. So you can intermit for up to 3 years, and you have Schols for 5 years. Yes, you at the front. Okay, the question was, do you receive any feedback on your essays or on the exams, scholarship exams? In most cases, the answer is no, you do not receive any feedback. So I do hear sometimes in smaller courses, in maybe some of the smaller schools, where there might be maybe close, a lot of the professors might know you personally. In that case, they might tell you something, but in general, no. Yeah. You can go and look at a grade breakdown. I believe most of the time those grade you can request to see those grade breakdowns, but other than that, that's it. Okay, so the question was, say you do your course, you get Schols, and then you come back a few years later and do another undergraduate course. Do you have to get Schols again? The answer is as well, you'll have used Schols probably for 2 of your undergraduate years. Then you'll have gone away and intermitted, and then you can go back, and if you so wanted, you could do 3, you could use 3 years, your 3 remaining years of scholarship for another undergrad, but then you would be left having to pay the final year of undergraduate fees. And another important thing to note is you cannot get Schols twice. So you can't come back and sit the Schols exams again. Now, please don't do that. You do have to do other things with your lives. Yes, you there? Yes. So there's a number of social events organized every year. One of those include a sort of exchange thing. So so Trinity is technically a sister college with Oriel College, Oxford, and St. John's College, Cambridge. So as part of them being our sister colleges, the students from those colleges come over for the annual ball that we run. And then we also go to their respective colleges for a similar social event. So there's about, how many students can go fluctuate from year to year, but mostly we let 15 students go to Oxford and 15 students go to Cambridge. So any student from Oriel College, Oxford, or St. John's College, Cambridge can come to Trinity for the ball. Oh, right. So how do we select which students go on the trip over? Basically, you just apply. You have to host the students in your accommodation. your university accommodation. So you have to be willing to do that. And then mostly we would prefer to take students who are living on campus. But yeah, it depends on how many people apply. Like it's not, yeah. Yeah, you there? Sorry, would you mind just repeating that question? I didn't hear all of it. Yes. Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, so the question is, say you want to go and say you get Schols and you want to then go do a postgrad in another university, can you still stay in Trinity and use Schols? The answer to that is no. You have to be doing a postgraduate course in Trinity to avail of the scholarships privileges. You might be allowed into commons, but that's it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In the interest of time, I'll leave any further questions you can ask the individual scholars, or you can come up to me. So you'll see here, just if your subject is not on this list here, please come and speak to us at the front.